Hi everyone, it's T-sHz, back after a pretty darn long hiatus. It's been about 4 or 5 months since I've uploaded anything onto YouTube. The last one I did was a rather lazy YouTube poop of Shaun of the Dead and Michael Rosen. But yeah, since then I haven't really uploaded anything, and a couple of reasons. First off, new job, well, got promoted in my current job. And secondly, procrastination, and those two things, well, they don't go well together. So I thought with some extra time to spare in these couple of weeks, I thought I'd just get back into, uploading videos again, because it's been a while. There's only so many times you could do YouTube poop and, let's plays before it gets boring. So without further ado, I thought I'd talk about this newish anime that's been airing recently, and it's called The Reflection. You may have heard of it or not. Well, these are just my early thoughts, because there's only been about 4 episodes yet of this show. Is it any good? Is it worth watching? Is it worth continuing to watch? Well, these are just my views, and if you have any views, then I'd be interesting to see how you will feel about it. If you like the sound of what you hear now, then go by all means watch it on Crunchyroll or whatever streaming service of choice that has that show available. So yeah, a lot of this will be a bit improv-y. So let's begin with the concept. Now, the anime started airing early July of this year, 2017. It was created by none other than Stan Lee, who is the father of Marvel Comics, if you will. It's a story about an event that took place 3 years before the main storyline of the show. And this event was called The Reflection. And this event has the skies being covered in grey smoke and green beams of light. Anybody that touched the green smoke either turned into a monster or they died. Most of them died. However, those that were touched by the green light, which was a very, very few people, gained superpowers. And most of the story is about, trying to figure out why this happened, how it happened, who's responsible, what's responsible, we don't know as of this point. So there won't be many spoilers in this video at all, because, well, like I said, we're only about a third into this show, and there's not really much to spoil. So, and even with the stuff that could be spoilers, I won't reveal. So don't worry, my friends. So yeah, as I said, those hit by the light gain superpowers, and we see from the perspectives of the good guys and the bad guys. Bad guys that have been established so far include some person named Wraith. I think that's the person who has flame powers, and there's a woman that can control metal, which is pretty cool. On the hero side, though, we have Exxon, who has the ability to copy other people's abilities, ditto style. So he's got this sort of this really tight red outfit on with the cross over his head. Reminds me a bit of Rorschach for some reason. Exxon, he has some cool abilities. Even in the first episode, you see him using his copy ability. He copies someone's water blade. He has this lasso that you can, sort of rope thing on his wrist that you can use to swing from building to building, sort of grab people from a distance. He even has the ability to expand his muscles, like his arm muscles, which is cool. The only problem with Exxon, though, is he's kind of bland. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's quite cool, but personality-wise, his dialogue's quite limited. It's quite blunt. It's lots of silence in between, the conversation he has with other characters, and it's quite sarcastic. Kind of the typical sort of emo-ish sort of personality. And there's not really much to him yet. Maybe we'll find out about his past, who knows. Fortunately, though, we do have another hero called Eleanor. It's quite the opposite, really, because her design is kind of boring, but because she's just a typical young redhead. But she has a cool power, the teleportation powers. She's quite new to using them, so she doesn't really know how to utilize her abilities. She does use them, though, sometimes, like when she's helping young kids, away from danger, or teleporting herself out of a fire in her building. In between, though, she's taking pictures of heroes and trying to research into the reflection and what happened and how it happened. She's a talented hacker. She's not a bad character. She's probably my favorite at the moment. Then we get Eye Guy, who's a character who hasn't had a lot of screen time, not as much as Exxon or Eleanor. But he's pretty cool. He has a mechanical suit, Iron Man style. He fights mutants with those. He sort of represents the sort of more commercial side of being a hero. So like he plays out like an act. So he uses props like large monitors on the side of buildings. He uses fireworks when he leaves. He even plays music whenever he appears. It's one of the most annoying songs I've heard. It's called Sky Show, and it's the one hit that the person who uses the mechanical suit underneath the alter ego of iGuy, the person who's playing the hero of iGuy is a one-hit wonder musician who's trying to sort of keep his popularity, but, with one-hit wonders, that's impossible. I won't go any further about his super abilities because they haven't really touched upon that much. All we've really seen is him in the suit fighting off a giant bat in the first episode. As I said, his song Sky Show gets really annoying because they play it all the frickin' time every time he appears in the scene. Then we get Lisa, who made her debut in episode 3. She's a young blonde woman who's in a wheelchair, so she can't use her legs, unfortunately. She is one of the reflected, which is the term used for people who gained powers from that green beam that hit them in the reflection. Yeah, she's still quite a new character, so there's not much to say. She's quite strong-willed, I think. She's quite nice. Builds a friendship with Eleanor in that 3rd episode. Although I won't spoil her ability that she has, that's revealed at the end of episode 3. All I will say is it's quite far-fetched and cool, but far-fetched. A bit leaning towards far-fetched. The one group of characters that hasn't had any screen time really is there's this group of young Asian girls from Japan, I think, and not much is known about their skills, how relevant they are to the plots, or it's been 4 episodes, which is about an hour and 20 minutes, and they've only been in 2 scenes, which together probably amount to about 3 or 4 minutes, so it's still a mystery at this point, and hopefully it will pay off later on. But yeah, there's not much to say about them. They do appear in the ending credit sequence in live action form, but we'll get to that later. In the meantime, let's talk about the show itself. How is it presented? Well, the one thing that definitely caught my attention, and the reason why I started watching it in the first place, was because of the art style. It's very reminiscent to those sort of old school comic books, those old Batman comics from the 60s, with the bold outlining and the flat colors with the lack of shading, and also the designs of the characters are a bit more realistic than the giant-eyed, noseless, chibi girls from those slice of life anime. The bold outlining still apply to the objects from a further distance. Small objects or objects from a far distance will still retain the bold outlining, giving them sort of a blurrier, sort of less detailed look, and it becomes a detriment to scenes like that, because there are a few that I've noticed that the facial features look kind of weird, or in comparison to when the characters are close up, it really does it in its favour, but when the characters are further away, the bold outlining really does hinder the clarity of those objects from a distance. And the animation, whilst it's good, it definitely has that sort of 25 frames per second look that an anime typically has, and considering the detail, that's fine. But there is one moment that annoyed me, which was the repetition of animation. They literally took the same fight scene from episode 1 and just copied and pasted it in episode 2 to pad it out as filler. Albeit the added sort of dialogue of the hero iGuy who was fighting in that scene, talking to him via the mechanical suit's headset. Other than that, it's exactly the same fight scene, only they added that extra dialogue over it. It's quite lazy, and it just really sort of felt like you were just on. It just felt like it was on repeat. It could have been removed entirely. Maybe they really ran out of stuff to pad out that episode or what have you. It was a bit of a problem for me. The pacing of the show is okay, but it's a bit slow. There are some action scenes, but not that many, and the action scenes themselves, they're okay, nothing great. It just feels like it's a bit dragging on a bit. There's some shots of the environment for a few seconds quite frequently, and it really slows down the pace of the show. And those sort of superhero shows should really feel quick and sort of attention grabbing. I mean, and sort of fantastic, but it doesn't seem to have hit that point yet. Hopefully it will once the show starts picking up and revealing all these secrets and what have you, and sort of developing the characters more, and getting to those conflicts that we want to see, with against Rafe and the other bad guys. So overall, the events and how it's structured does seem a bit on the, well, not lazy, just sort of like the repetitive side. I think they could just sort of speed it up a bit and maybe add some more intense moments and maybe remove some of those clips of the environment. And, you know, and there's this other thing about the music. The music is good, but like I said, there's not that much music in there. Not during the scenes of the episodes. It feels a bit like a vacuum sometimes with how little music and sound occurs and plays in those shots that could have benefited with it. But the music that is there is quite good, except for Sky Show, the song I talked about earlier. That's annoying. The ending credit sequence it's weird. I mean, it doesn't really fit the tone and the theme of the show it's based on. When you think of like superhero series, you think bright colors and action and, you know, orchestral music. But I mean, they do that for the intro. I mean, dramatic orchestral score building up, you know, to sort of pump you up for what's going to happen in the episode. But the ending credit sequence leans towards the other way, really. It's just a bunch of Japanese schoolgirl silhouettes dancing to sort of typical J-pop, and it doesn't really fit the show's style, and it could have really been a credit sequence for any other show, really, not for The Reflection, which is it's kind of odd. It's not bad, it just doesn't really fit. One thing that does redeem a bit though is Stan Lee at the end of each episode tells you the title of the next episode, then ends it with Excelsior, and it's like, God, that's so cool. Stan Lee has to make a cameo in everything he's been involved in, huh? Okay, that's cool. I liked his cameo in Deadpool, even though it was very weird. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it without dragging on and repeating myself, so yeah, so what would I say about The Reflection at the moment? My early thoughts at the moment are, it's a little bit underwhelming. I really wished that, you know, they could have sped it up a bit, maybe add some more action, because that's what people want to see in a superhero film. Although the unique selling point of its art style really sold me in the first place. I just hope that, you know, they sort of build it up a bit, you know, progress it more to a more thrilling story you want to see, because at the moment it just seems like I'm waiting for the good stuff to happen, you know. There have been good moments, but not enough to really recommend it at this time. I like the art style. Maybe more music could be added. And at the end of the day, I just think, well, if I knew it was going to be like the way it is, I probably wouldn't have carried on. Because it just seems to drag its knuckles in the ground at the moment. I'm going to, though, carry on watching it because I've started, and if this is a short series, I'm already a third of the way in. Hopefully, you'll give it a chance. Give it 2 or 3 episodes, and you'll probably see what I'm talking about. Or not, just give it a chance. And like I said, I don't regret start watching it. It's just I'm just hoping it builds up to something, you know, more spectacular. Because at the moment, I would give it probably a 6, maybe a 5.5 if I rated it out of 10. Well, it's not over yet. We still got a few weeks until the inevitable finale. So thanks for listening, and I hope that's been informative to all those who are bit curious about the show or want an anime show to watch. I would just recommend watching the first 2 or 3 episodes and seeing how it goes. Thanks for listening. This is T-sHz. I will hopefully be uploading more videos in the future. If you want to keep up to date with those, then press subscribe. Yep, until next time then. Thanks for listening. Bye.